Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second webinar of our Ever Wanted to Be an Explorer webinar series. In the first webinar of this series, I shared a story of a learning adventure of Tikkala school children, teacher, and our community education students to the UNESCO site Oravivuori Struve Arc station point. And one important aspect of that learning adventure was the pedagogy of adventure and outdoor education. So in a short mini lecture of this second webinar, I am going to talk about adventure education and give a very brief and basic introduction to adventure education, outdoor adventure education, and to the goals and pedagogic ideas and some practical applications of outdoor adventure education. First, some basics about adventure education. Adventure education is quite widely practiced in schools, youth work, social work, and therapy around the world and in Finland. And in Finland, probably the longest tradition of outdoor adventure education is in the field of youth work, where, for example, municipal youth work or the Finnish youth centers have used adventure educational methods in various ways. Adventure education is a method that challenges participants to face unpredictable outcomes and learn from them. And also it improves physical and psychological self-knowledge, strengthens social skills, enhances individual sense of responsibility, resourcefulness, and courage. And it usually includes adventurous, safe, and target-oriented activities guided by professional adventure and outdoor educators. And in the example of our Ever Wanted to Be an Explorer learning journey, where we had a couple of preparatory team building and group exercise days at the school, and then one full day adventure to the Oravivuori Struve Arc station point. There were several examples of methods of adventure education. In small scale, they were adventurous group activities at the school grounds, which required the pupils to work together and participate to solve challenges. And in a bit larger scale, the whole day at the Oravivuori Struve Arc Point Nature Trail was an adventure educational activity, even though it had a lot of other aspects as well. School subjects included in it, and environmental education, and so on. Yeah. The basics of adventure education, it comes from the tradition of learning by doing, of John Dewey and Kurt Hahn, the founder of Outward Bound, and other ancestors and developers of this pedagogy. And the basics is very much in experiential education, which means that the learners engage in direct experience and learn from that through experience and trial and error and reflecting on what has happened. Then one important part of adventure education is or the part of the foundation is outdoor education. Adventure education usually happens in authentic learning environments and very often in outdoor settings. And through outdoor adventure education, we can learn and develop in various ways. And one concept of the different elements of outdoor and adventure education is originally presented by Priest and Gass, and it includes developing intrapersonal skills. So very briefly explained, developing your personal skills, your ability to understand oneself, decision-making skills, perseverance, confidence, concentration, and so on. And the other aspect of adventure education is developing interpersonal skills, because usually adventure educational programs happen in a group settings where the participants are required to work together in a group and learn to understand other people, communicate with them, trust other people, to solve conflicts and cooperate together. But also because adventure education happens in authentic settings and usually outdoors, human as a part of the nature is one important aspect of outdoor adventure education. Also, how do we affect the nature? How does the nature affect us? Building the kind of connection to nature and understanding nature. And we could also say that environmental education is kind of built in outdoor and adventure education. Okay, very good. Moving forward. So in Humak University of Applied Sciences, we have a long tradition of training outdoor adventure education professionals in the field of youth work as a part of our community education program. We have been training adventure and outdoor education professionals for about 30 years now, and starting from 2018 in this international degree program in outdoor and adventure education. And this is a simple illustration of how we view outdoor adventure education in Humak, and it's very much developed based on the earlier concept I shared with you. So in outdoor adventure education, of course, preparing and going on outdoor expeditions have an important role in teaching and learning. And this picture kind of gives an idea on what different kinds of various skills can you learn through going on different types of adventures. Like I already told, environmental education is an important part of it. being aware of environmentally friendly hiking skills when we go to outdoor settings, leave no trace principle, understanding everyone's rights, national park rules, well-being of nature, and so on. But for the large point, when we go outdoors with groups of students, we don't lecture about environmental education. We let the nature and experiences speak for themselves and help the students build connection to the nature and environment through that. Like I already mentioned, learning in outdoor adventure education involves a lot of developing your personal skills as part of the group. Instructor skills, technical skills, social skills, safety skills, communication skills, leadership and problem solving skills, but also knowledge about yourself, self-confidence, ADL skills that you need in everyday life. But because our outdoor adventure education is built on the tradition of community education and youth work, developing group skills and working as part of the group and using a group to develop each individual skills is one very important aspect of outdoor adventure education. You can learn cooperation through it, reflection you learn by delegating things between the group. You can build trust in the group through outdoor adventure education. And for example, in youth work, adventure education is traditionally used in building team spirit, helping young people to get to know each other, build trust in the group, to prevent bullying, for example. So it has a lot of applications, but these three elements are the ones that we kind of build on. Like I said earlier, adventure education is based on, as a strong basis on experiential learning, which is a philosophy in which educators engage with learners in direct experience and focused reflection in order to learn from that, develop skills, clarify values, develop people's capacity to contribute to their communities. And one concept of experiential learning is the learning cycle by Kolb, that refers to the idea that in learning, the concrete experience is an important part, but not only learning by doing and going, for example, on a field trip and experiencing things. You also, to learn from experience, you need to stop to reflect on the experiences using different methods to make the learning deeper. And then after reflecting and thinking about experience, what can we learn from that? How can we act differently next time to succeed better, for example, and you gain new information, train new skills, and then you experience again. And this refers to the continuous cycle of development in experiential learning that you do by learning by doing, gaining concrete experiences, but also reflecting on them. and gaining new knowledge and building your skills and knowledge and understanding. But maybe I will not go much deeper into that because this is a quick introduction to adventure education and adventurous learning. In the first webinar of this webinar series, I shared a story about our learning adventure to the top of Oravivuori hill with Tikkala school children, where there is a beautiful observation tower and a Struve arc measurement points on top of this hill. So some might be fooled to think that the goal of this our project was to visit the top of the hill. But actually, when we talk about experience and learning and outdoor adventure education, we have this saying, end is nothing, road is all, which means that all the important learning experiences happen on the way when preparing to the expedition or the field trip, through the various experiences you gain on the way. And in this picture you see those stars and storm signs, which refer to, for example, challenges set by the conditions and environment, challenges set by, for example, conflicts in the group and what you learn from them, and then also flow experiences, good learning experiences that you face along the way. And on our Struve expedition, for example, the weather during that day was horrible. It was the worst possible weather that you can have in autumn in Finland. It was pouring rain and it was quite cold. But the pupils were prepared well, and throughout the day, it looked like that the rain didn't bother them that much, and they most likely learned after that day, for example, that you can be outdoors in rough weathers if you have proper equipment, and they probably built some self-esteem on making a whole day's adventure in the forest and on the nature trail, even though the weather was not the best possible. And also we had some great learning experiences along the way. And when we reached the top, the clouds parted for a while, and the sun was shining for half an hour or so. So that might have been one good experiences along that trip. But to sum up, the main thing I wanted to say with this picture is that when you go on an expedition to learn with group of pupils, the destination is not the main point. All the important stuff happens preparing for it and on the way. Okay, moving on. When we talk about outdoor adventure education and adventurous learning, one theoretical concept is presented, for example, by Beams and Brown in their book that you can find from the sources of this slideshow. And they refer to the 4 elements of adventurous learning. When we talk about outdoor adventure education, in good outdoor adventure education, these 4 elements are always present, and they are important part of successful outdoor adventure education. One of the kind of cornerstones of adventure education is uncertainty, which refers to the idea that elements of the activity are not clear at the outset. There is a possibility of changes, and the participants need to find new solutions, experiment with new ideas and actions, and, for example, develop their creativity and problem-solving skills. This is linked to the idea of authenticity, which means a real experience, which is not false or contrived. And by authentic, we refer to something that is real. And learning that takes place in the real world and in real world environments. And learners can, so to speak, feel the world's response to their actions and learn from that through experiential education. Like example, one simple example is the difference between taking kids to an amusement park or taking them on a canoeing trip on the local lake. There's a big difference in authenticity and possibilities of learning in them. But then also important element of outdoor adventure education is mastery, which refers to developing skills and knowledge and improving your competence in the environment. So in most of adventure educational programs, learning some new skill and mastering some set of skills plays an important part. And this is linked, for example, in developing yourself, developing your personal skills, building perseverance, trial and error, being able to learn from, deal from setbacks, exceeding yourself, making it through challenges that may at first seem really big for yourself, but with the help of others, you can make it. And the photo in this slide is about climbing and rappelling activity, where you come down from a cliff using a rope, and it actually requires a lot of learning of knots and techniques and practice before you can do it. So, but learning a skill is not the main point. It is what happens in you when you work to develop and master some skill. And finally, the 4th element of adventurous learning is agency, which refers to that the participants have control over what they do, possibility to make choices and decisions and control what happens. And this includes an idea of providing opportunities of, for example, being responsible through planning and undertaking a meaningful adventure yourself. And this, for example, develops pupils' autonomy and sense of responsibility. And in our Oravivuori expedition, like I told earlier, the pupils were working throughout the day in their own small expedition groups, and they had real responsibility of completing the assignments on the way, deciding when they want to make breaks, what pace they are working on, and the pupils were really in charge of what happened during the day. Okay, moving on towards the end of this mini lecture, a couple of examples of practical applications of adventure education. In Finland, there is in early childhood education and kindergartens, there is a long tradition of outdoor activities and going, for example, to have lunch in the nearby forest and exploring the nature with children. And some early childhood educators might even say that they have been doing adventure education without knowing that they are doing adventure education. But the idea, there is of course a difference on how you do the excursions to the nearby forest, for example. Do you walk in a line after the adult, or are the kids allowed to, for example, navigate themselves and explore a bit more freely and help in preparing their lunch and decide on which route you choose and so on. But early childhood education is a setting where outdoor adventure education is very widely used, and it is a perfect setting for that. You can learn about your own neighborhood, cook and have lunch outdoors, gain positive nature experiences, learn how to work as a part of a group, build self-confidence, take responsibility, and so on. Another field, like I already earlier said, where adventure education and outdoor adventure education has been widely used is youth work. And it can be used in different group building activities to help youth in need of social reinforcement. It has been used quite widely in different youth workshop activities and social work with youth. And one example of applications of outdoor adventure education in youth work is the Nuotta coaching of the Finnish youth centers, which is a small group activity targeted for young people. And it's usually organized in 2 to 4 day camps that are aimed at supporting social reinforcement of the participants, enhancing life management skills, promoting healthy lifestyles. It's also a tool that enables the youth workers and adults working with groups of young people to get to know young people more deeply, build relationship and trust with them, and look at their potential and competence in a more holistic way. And in practice, it can be low rope activities, canoeing activities, climbing, group challenges, games, whatever you can do with groups in the youth center setting. And one of the keys in this activity is through the activities and honest encounters with other people to learn about yourself, find your own strengths, and get to know yourself better. Okay, one more practical example of quite simple adventurous activities that you can use are different types of group challenges and low rope courses. And some of these group challenges were introduced in our Ever Wanted to Be an Explorer publication. There are good examples of all the activities we did with the school children when we were preparing for our expedition to Oravivuori. You can also go to the website of Humak University of Applied Sciences. We used to have this Toimeen project about functional methods to teachers, where you can, for example, upload a guide to building and using simple low rope challenges with groups. Yes, and also if you are interested in learning more about these type of activities, Humak also provides training for teachers, and you can contact us and book a training for your personnel if you want to start using outdoor adventure education as a part of your activities. Yeah. Before I finish this slideshow, I will briefly talk about skills of an adventure educator, because applying outdoor adventure education successfully with groups of pupils, school children, youth, it actually requires a wide set of different skills. For example, if you go on hikes or nature expeditions with the group, you need to have mastered some skills yourself to be able to be an instructor in that activity. And the same applies to different kind of climbing activities and so on. So definitely you require some technical skills to provide a safe and successful adventure for your group. You need social skills, interactive skills, instructor skills, skills in how to reflect the experiences with the group, how to give feedback, kind of the art of listening and art of giving good feedback that helps the participants. You also need environmental skills, so which refers to choosing the right environment for your group that is properly chosen according to the skill level of the group. Challenging enough to provide a sense of adventure and experiences and challenge and possibilities for independent actions while being safe and not including any danger, for example, which also is linked to safety skills of adventure education. Adventure educator. In safety skills, there are 3 elements of safety skills. You need to have safety skills regarding people, which refers to how you maintain and build social safety. Then you need to know the conditions and how to work with them and the terrain. But I'm not going this deeper into these things because this is just a very simple, short introductory mini lecture on outdoor adventure education. If you are interested in learning more about outdoor adventure education, I already mentioned our Toimeen project resources on activity-based methods in schools. And on the website, we have materials both in Finnish and Swedish. And like I mentioned, it's also possible to arrange teacher training on activity-based methods and adventure education. And if you are interested in this possibility, please contact me, Tero Lämsä, Humak University of Applied Sciences. Also, we have published a book, an open access book on outdoor adventure education in Finland, which has very interesting articles both in Finnish and English. And it can be downloaded from our website free of charge. And for those who want to learn even more, we offer open university courses, for example, a 5-credit online summer course and also longer practical open university courses on outdoor adventure education. So please contact me if you are interested in learning more and starting to build your skills and knowledge on outdoor adventure education and planning, designing, and implementing learning adventures with your students. Okay, thank you very much for listening. This was the end of my presentation. Here you can see the sources that I have used in building this introductory lecture if you are interested in learning more about the topic.